Hello and welcome to today's Gyan Vasan presentations on multimedia and the World Wide Web. We have a number of presentations on the multimedia, but today we'll be talking about multimedia and World Wide together. In fact, I will be talking about what are the standards available on, or for what are the standards available for the multimedia on the World Wide Web. Basically, I will be talking about what is standard for the text on the World Wide Web, what is the standard for the audio, video, and so on. Basically, what we are talking about is that if I have to transmit the multimedia through the World Wide Web or through the net, what should be the standard, or what are the basic things, what are the emerging standards, how they are different from the existing standards, and so on. First, I will talk about some basics of what is the multimedia. In fact, we have a number of presentations on it, and then immediately I will switch over to the main topic. Today's presentations will be only for half an hour, and then you will be shown the pre-recorded video lectures on website management. So let's talk about what is the multimedia. In fact, today in the emerging scenario, the two concepts are emerging very widely. One is the multimedia and the World Wide Web. In fact, these two are most common buzzwords in the industry. One can easily define what is the World Wide Web, but it is very difficult to define what is the multimedia. Of course, by its name, it seems to be that by multimedia we mean that utilization of more than one media. For example, I can use audio, I can use video, I can use animations, I can use graphics, and so on. So, combination of all these media we call them multimedia. But the most important component while defining the multimedia, or while understanding what is multimedia, is the interactivity. For example, we do transmissions through television. Of course, there is audio component, there is a video component, there is animations, and so on. But it's not multimedia because it is not there is no interactivity. Or take example of video tape. It contains everything, but it's not a multimedia. So what exactly we are talking about is that unless there is a interactivity in the media, will not call them multimedia, but of course you have more than one media to be used in presentations of your document or whatever form you are looking for. So let's talk about now so this is what is the multimedia. Let's talk about the World Wide Web. You know that the World Wide Web is one of the features of the Internet. Internet has many features, and World Wide is one of the features of the Internet. The Internet became very popular because only of the World Wide Web, but Internet has many other features, what we call it, the FTP, Telnet, and so on. And they all are the features of this one, and we have discussed a lot about what are the standards and protocols for the Internet. In fact, the World Wide Web is supposed to be one of the there's a protocol for the World Wide which comes as a part of applications layer protocol in the Internet, in the TCP/IP or the ASI model. Now let's define what are the basic objective of the World Wide? The World Wide Web, or what we call them web, was originally designed to allow physicists to share largely text-based information across the network. That was the basic idea behind when the World Wide Web has been designed, which is a part of the Internet. The first version of HTML, which is used with a standard language for presenting a document on the World Wide, had a little support for the multimedia. Today we have lots of changes we find in the HTML, but the first version of HTML didn't have any support for the multimedia. They didn't have any feature or a tag to incorporate audio, video, or any other graphics, and so on. In fact, if you look at the original document of the World Wide Web project, you will be really surprised at how we have changed since then. Now, if you look at this one, the original proposal for the World Wide when the project was formed, it was clearly written that, please look at this one, the statement they have defined that the project, that the World Wide project, will not aim to do research into fancy multimedia facilities such as sound and video. That was considered to be very fancy applications, but today it has become a common part of our day-to-day activities now. So basically the point which I am trying to mention is that the HTML, that is the language, standard language for presenting a document, didn't have any support at all for multimedia presentations. The two things you must understand, because you have done a number of other courses related to the multimedia also and the network. Today we are talking about these two subjects together now. So the problem with multimedia on the web, or the problem with for the delivery of the multimedia through the web, are two, and two are most important problems now. One is what we call them bandwidth, and the second is called synchronization of various media. That is two important problems. So anybody who is doing any research in this area has to address these two problems, or any vendor has to address these two problems. Again, let me remind you what we have discussed, what is the bandwidth, right? There is a difference between bandwidth and the data rates and what we call them baud rate and so on. So for example, we have a coaxial cable, which bandwidth is 500 megahertz and so on. So when you have a cable TV at home, you have the bandwidth of the cable which carries the signal is 500 megahertz. And to have a transmission of color TV transmission, minimum bandwidth is 8 megahertz. So you divide 500 by so many TV channels can be easily broadcast. This is called bandwidth, the electrical characteristic of the channels now. You have a twisted pair which carries telephone lines, or for example, you have a little bit modified form of a twisted pair that is in some form of shielded one, which is carried for which is used for the ISDN. Right, their bandwidth is around some 4 hertz. I'm talking about telephone lines, their bandwidth is around 4 kHz and so on. So that is something which you are very much aware of it. And there is a law which you know that what is the bandwidth of a channel, and then you can easily define what should be the bits rates, what we call them, the Nyquist law and Shannon's law. Already you are aware of these two. And then another important problem, so unless you have a bandwidth, unless you have a channel of that high bandwidth, then only multimedia can be delivered through your net. Otherwise you are not able to get those multimedia. The second one, the synchronization of various media. We are talking about different types of media. Text is another media. We have a text, we have a graphics, we have a animations, we have a videos, we have a sound. All these media must be fully synchronized. Then only you will understand what is the semantics of the picture. Then only. Unless they are fully synchronized, you will not able to understand. So these two are very much important when you are trying to support multimedia through World Wide Web. Bandwidth, let me repeat once again, bandwidth, and second is called synchronization of various medias. Now let's talk about each one separately. I told you in the beginning that the idea for today's the basic objective for today's presentation is to introduce you the number of emerging standards for multimedia through World Wide Web. You know what are the standards of these multimedia without the World Wide Web, but today we'll talk about these two things together. In fact, same standards are used here also. The best way to present, let's talk about text part. Text is the most important component, and though we don't give so much importance to the text, but many informations can be carried through text only. So let's talk about what is the standard for the text now. The best way to present simple text over web is using HTML. Now that is, if you see any document, if you browse your web, then all your documents are put into this format, HTML. The HTML is called native language of the web. HTML hypertext stands for hypertext markup language, is structured markup language, that is tags, headings, paragraph, which define the structure of the document and not the style. So basically, basic objective of the HTML is to define the structure of your documents. What should be the headings and paragraph and so on. There is another emerging concept which is related to the textual part on the World Wide Web, is called cascading style sheets. So what exactly is? The CSS in short form was developed to specify such as text, color, margins, font styles, exact positioning of your text in terms of X and Y coordinates and so on. So this is why to incorporate much more advanced form of your text. You can say that if I want to include different colors or the different type of font for the headings, then I am talking about cascading style sheets. It can be embedded within the document or linked to an external file. So for example, if you want to refer to external file, again the cascading sheet concept is coming in. So this is another important thing which you have to understand in terms of the document presentations on the World Wide Web in form of a text now. The another important thing which we have to understand, which we quite often come across, is what we call them page description languages now. Now here what exactly it is? Now if you are basically concerned about the actual layout of a document, it may be more practical to use a page descriptions language. If you want to be concerned with the layout aspects of the document, then what we are talking about, that you have to understand the concept of page descriptions language, and the standard adopts a portable document format is the PDF now. So PDF is basically a format or a standard for the layout of your documents now. This is the PDF standard now, which is designed by the Adobe now. They are not really text format in terms of what as we defined earlier, what HTML is doing then. As they asked, because the difference between the PDF and the normal, what we discussed earlier as HTML, that the first one is the PDF also contains the graphics, fonts, and so on. Basically, the most important is that it contains the graphics also as a part of it. So, right? So this is the difference between the normal HTML and the PDF format. So these three are very much important component of your, where text is concerned. If I want to, which is the text part of your multimedia document. The standard is PDF, HTML, and so on. The another important concept which we use quite often, and that is called the graphics now. Now graphics is, again we talk about what are the standards are there. Now if I look at the survey of the standard formats for presenting graphics on the World Wide Web, the three I will put in this category: the GIF, which stands for graphics interchange format, and animated GIF. They are in the first position. The maximum, the format which is used very widely, that is the GIF format now. The second one is called the HTML, and the third one is called JPEG. We'll talk about all of them, about these two, GIF and JPEG, little bit in detail now. So these three are standard way of presenting the graphics in your multimedia documents. So somebody is GIF, animated GIF, then HTML, and what called JPEG now. Let's talk about what exactly the GIF format now. Again, they are not specific to any type of devices, that is, we work on particular type of platforms or standards. They are basically, now today the trend is towards the open platform. You know, the Unix is open standard, the worldwide is the open standard, because the basic origin of the internet is that it should be the standard now. It should be open, it should work on all the platforms now. So most of the trends today coming around the World Wide Web or the internet, even otherwise, that they are open standards or they are device independent. Look at some of the features of this one, GIF now. So device independent format, meaning you can download, you can work on any type of platforms, 8 bits per pixel. So basically what we are talking about is that if I have to, you have to understand these calculations very well, that how many bits, suppose I want to present certain information into graphics forms, then how many bits we require. And it also depends upon how many colors you want to represent. So now if you are, the GIF basically does not work with a wider range of colors. It maximum works with 256 colors. So if I want to code 256, means log to power 256, it comes to 8 bits per second. So the number of bits for storing the image per pixel is 8 bits. It is a lossless compression technique. We just look at some of the multimedia tutorial lectures. We have talked about lossy compression technique, the lossless compression technique. So this uses a lossless compression technique, less suitable for photorealistic image, where the loss of color may result in visible degradation. If you are using photorealistic image, you don't use the GIF format, because the loss of the color will result in the degradations of your picture. Now animated GIF, this is another concept, another standards now. Now they are basically used for the animations purpose now. But what is animated GIF? The animated GIFs are simply GIF images stored within a single file. Within single file you store number of GIF images which you want to create animations out of it, and played back sequentially, creating an animation sequence. So basically what we are talking about, the animated GIF concept is basically used to create animation where in the same file it will contain number of the GIF images, and it will be played back sequentially one after another to create an effect of animations. Now the another one, this is emerging one, still not very much standardized, but emerging one, still is not very widely used by the vendors now, but again we are talking about emerging standards also, and this standard is called PNG, what stands for Portable Network Graphics. This is a newer lossless format developed in the wake of patent problems with compression method used by GIF. So basically, I think the patent related problems we have with the GIF. So this new format has emerged, and what we call them PNG format. Let's try to compare the PNG with the GIF format. Now here is some basic features of the PNG format which we require to compare with the GIF format. Now what exactly is the? In fact, we have number of advantages of the PNG format over the GIF format now. And what I just will look at the meaning, but we look at only few of these points now. First is again the cross-platform control of image brightness. Now again, that can be easily handled. That if you have a moving from the one platform to another platform, the image brightness can easily be controlled if you have presented your document into the PNG format. The better comparisons, you can do more ratio can be much more better than what you have in the GIF format now. Some more support of more color images which you don't find into the GIF format, and again that is the I told you earlier, but still not widely used now. So this is the so right now it's the third format for presenting your document in the graphics, using graphics. So the standard is GIF, animated GIF, PNG. We look at some more now. The JPEG is another standard which is used for presenting graphics, and JPEG stands for Joint Photographic Experts Group. It is a standard, it is open standard designed for compressing photorealistic images. There you have lots of pictures or lots of photos. In that case, you use the JPEG now. It supports up to 16 million colors now. So your bit depth will be much more higher. By bit depth means that you require more bits per pixel, because we are talking about 16 million colors, approximately log to power 16 million, so many bits we require to this one. So you require more bit density, you require more bits to represent, but more realistic picture can be represented. Employs a efficient compression method, lossy compression method, resulting much more smaller file than the similar GIF image, because the compression technique is much more higher than the size of the file is much more smaller. That is why this is what the standard we are looking for, that if I have to transfer that heavy file in terms of these images and so on, it has to be, compression technique has to be very superb, otherwise file size will be very, very lengthy. Let's talk about, so this way we have discussed the two important components of your multimedia, that is called the text and the graphic. Let's look at the audio, because something which we use quite often now. Now audio, there are large number of audio formats. The many formats are there, and different file sizes. And the size of the audio file depends on first the frequency, bit depth, and the third one is what we call the number of channels, mono and stereo. And finally, what we call the losslessness of compression. We'll talk about some of the things which is very much important for you to understand. What is the frequency, what is the bit depth, what are the number of channels. So we are talking about mono and stereo. Again, they refer to the number of channels used here. More, like a stereo will take more bit depth, whereas the mono will take just half of it. So if I want to reduce the audio file, if you have put them into this the audio file, and if you have to put them into the stereo, if you just want to convert into the mono, half of your size will be removed. So now, so basically, as I told you, that the best way to reduce the audio file size is what will moving from the stereo to mono, just half. Now what exactly is the bit depth? Now that is, we have discussed in earlier. Let's define, give a proper definition of what is the bit depth. Now bit depth is the amount of information stored for each point, equivalent to the bits per pixel in an image file. That you understand. For example, what will be bit depth if I have a 256 color? Now if I have a 256 color, then bit depth will be log to power 256. You require only 8 bits per pixel. But if I have a 16 million color, then your bit depth will be much more larger, because for storing only 1 million color, you require at least 20 bits now. So that way we are talking about 24 bits and 24 bit for per pixel. So again you require more memory, but the point which we are discussing right now, that more memory, but the the picture, realistic picture can be preserved only when you have a bit depth will be much more higher. The frequency is another important component to understand. The frequency is the number of times per second the sound was sampled. Again, I will refer to you that you please refer to what exactly we mean by sampling. That you understand that we have discussed there is a standard for conversion of audio, converting from the analog to the video. And so if you want to, like for example, if I want to produce the multimedia on the CD, then actually the sound and the video all are basically in the analog format. So you have to finally convert them into video. For that you have to do the sampling. By sampling means taking the amplitude value of your analog signal. So now let me just again, and there are various sampling rates have been defined. Let me just again repeat the question now, that frequency is the second important component for the audio file size. The frequency is the number of times per second the sound was sampled. The higher the frequency, the better the quality. In practice, the frequency must be set with one of the predetermined figures, most commonly 11 kHz, 12, 22 kHz, and 40 kHz. I just for a discussion just simply tell you that if I have if the range is let's say if I have a 4 kHz frequency range, if I have to do the sampling rate should be twice. Basically, we are talking about 8,000 samples per second. That is means 125 microsecond per microsecond. Every 125 microsecond you have to take one sample, otherwise you will not able to catch the realistic image. And these are the standards, most common sound format found on the web. These are the standards. The WAV is coming from the Microsoft format, and you are requested to study as a part of your online tutorial. You try to find out the details from the website. What is the standard for web and so on. Another standard is AU, that is Unix-based format now. The third one is real audio files, and the fourth one is called MIDI, musical instrument digital interface. There is a separate lecture on the MIDI, so you can go and refer to it. And for that, all we have a standards. You can look at the web and find out more details. What is the difference between this AU and the real audio file and the MIDI and the WAV and so on. Now the last part will be what is the video now. By video, so we discussed text, we discussed the graphics, we discussed audio, we define the standard for all these three. Let's come to the last part, what is the video now. By video we usually mean a format that will contain, by video we always mean that the format will contain not only the video but also the audio. Most standard video clips on the web will be either AVI, that is the Microsoft standard, the QuickTime, which was designed by the Apple, and the third one is MPEG. So these three standards you have to remember, which is used for putting the video on the World Wide Web. The AVI, let's have a little bit more, some details about AVI and QuickTime. More details you will find from the literature. The AVI and the QuickTime differ from the MPEG in that they are wrappers which may contain video encoded in number of different ways, including MPEG. So how they basically do the embedding. Although AVI was developed with PCs in mind, always they have that is the delivery will be on the PCs. And so AVI was always designed with PCs in mind, where QuickTime was designed that the Macs systems are going to be used at another end. But both formats can be played on each machine and so on. So basically, the AVI for any type of PCs, whereas the QuickTime was designed for the Mac, but all the standards can play on each other. So that is basically standards we are talking about now. Let's talk about the MPEG. MPEG stands for Moving Picture Expert Group. It's a family of digital video compression standards currently. So they are basically also define the standards now. When we say the standards for the video, they also define the compression standard for the video. The two standards in the MPE category, one is called MPEG 1 and the second is called MPEG 2. Now the MPEG, little bit detail about MPEG 1, was optimized for delivery on the CD-ROM at 1.5 Mbit per second and are usually much more smaller than equivalent to AVI or the QuickTime file, is much more smaller than. Just like what we can say that the mono audio file is much more, is just twice half less than the stereo file. Similarly, MP1 video file is smaller than the QuickTime files or AVI files, and they are quite popular one. MP2 provides better quality with resolution of this one is the resolution 60 frames per second and multiple audio channels, but obviously at the cost of increased bandwidth. So you again, if the resolution is higher, then definitely the bandwidth will be more now. Typically it works at 4 Mbps per second now. Now the last point which you have to understand in this case is in context of video. When producing video for the web, the main considerations relating to the bandwidth is what resolutions now. What resolutions do you want? 6, for example, I have given you some, like for example, there is standard for the video, the super VGA or VGA and so on. So basically, the most important thing is about video. Earlier we talked about the 2 important problems with the multimedia delivery on the worldwide is what we call them the bandwidth problem, and the second one is what we call them the synchronization of all the media. But specific to the video delivery through multimedia on the through worldwide is what should be resolutions now. If you want full screen, the resolution is very, very high. So basically, here in this, look at this slide, what we are talking about, the solution is that the full screen is 640 by 480 is very much not really not practical now. The most popular size to present a video is what I will call them 160 by 120. This way we have given you the number of standards now. There are another important thing which you have to understand, and we will continue our discussions next time in another presentation. We will talk about the streaming technique now, what we call the video streaming. There are another new emerging topics related to multimedia on the worldwide net. Now this today's topic relates to all these multimedia courses: CSN 21, CSN 5, CSI 27, CSN 1, CSN 3, and CSN 4. We'll continue with this presentation, and before just concluding, and just give you some announcement now that BIP's homepage has been redesigned and made up to date. I request all our BIP students and the TLC coordinators, artists, to see the site quite regularly. Every week some new changes are coming. Every day we are trying to do some modifications so that the site will be very, very interactive. For students' interest or for anybody's interest, that every week some new article is coming on the website. One can download and read them and discuss with the students. I request all the students that if they want to put certain articles or anything you want to contribute to the website with some articles, pages, any important things they want to share among the students, they can send me at my bit account bip@igno.ac.in. Now this way I conclude, and now our next presentation will be pre-recorded one, and that is going to be on website management. This is related to third trimester CSI 22. Thank you.